Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I am Farhani Azkia, and today I would like to share my thoughts about the role of female ulama in the future of Islamic education. Okay, first of all, what is female ulama? When we hear about the word ulama, we often imagine about someone who spends their life studying religious texts, right? I think this kind of image is certainly important, but however, I believe that the meaning of ulama is much broader. Ulama is someone who seeks knowledge, understands it deeply, and uses it to benefit humanity. Therefore, a female ulama is not only a woman who masters Islamic sciences, it also a teacher, researcher, scientist, activist, or a community leader, or whoever brings Islamic values into everyday life through knowledge, through wisdom, through compassion. Nah, if that is our understanding, then female ulama are not simply participants in Islamic education. They are among those who will shape its future. The question then is, where does the future actually begins? In my opinion, it begins in education. And when we talk about education, many people think Islamic education begins in school or in pesantren, in universities. But I think it begins much earlier. It begins in our own homes. Home is our first classroom. Around the dining table, in the living room, or during simple daily conversation, children usually learn what Islam truly means. They learn whether Islam is a religion of fear or a religion of mercy. This is where female ulama play an essential role. We help translate Islamic teaching into values that children can understand. We teach them kindness instead of hatred, justice instead of discrimination, and respect instead of violence. And it is equally important that Islamic education at home should never be the responsibility of mothers alone or fathers alone. No, both fathers and mothers should become equal partners in nurturing the next generation. When parent learns, discuss, and educate together, children will witness that Islam values cooperation and mutual respect. However, education cannot stop at home because the values we build inside the family must also continue into the wider community. Today, many social problems, for instance, discrimination towards girls, unequal opportunities, or gender based violence, are often justified by such a rigid interpretation of religion. And as a female ulama, our responsibility is not simply to repeat inherited opinions. Our responsibility is to revisit our tradition with wisdom. For what? To understand the deeper objectives and to show that Islam has always stood for justice, for dignity, for compassion. In this way, we will become bridges that connect the richness of classical Islamic scholarship with the realities of modern society. We will create spaces for dialogue instead of division. We will create understanding instead of judgment. And we will create hope instead of fear. Finally, our contribution should also reach national level. The future of Islamic education cannot be separated from public policy. Why? Because educational policies influence millions of children, teachers, and families. That is why female ulama deserve a place in national conversation. The reason is not because women simply need representation. Above all, the reason is because women bring an important perspective, which is a human centered perspective. When policies are shaped by knowledge, empathy, justice, then they will become more inclusive and ensure that no one is left behind. And so, dear friends, I think we can conclude that the future of Islamic education is not built overnight. It begins with one conversation at home, and then it grows through communities that are care for one another, and eventually it shapes the nation. Lastly, I think I want to share my hope, and perhaps this is also our shared hopes that may the future of Islam and Indonesia be guided by women who possess not only knowledge but also wisdom, not only intelligence but also compassion, and not only the courage to speak but also the courage to listen. Because true education is not merely about transferring knowledge, it is also about nurturing better human being. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.